Start. Okay, so today's presentation, we're going to give you a little tutorial overview of some of the Windows tools that are available on your devices. As we are talking, and if you have questions, you can throw those in the chat. And Shannon, if you wouldn't mind kind of keeping an eye on those, we will address those as we need be. If at the end you just want to ask us some Q&A, we'll stick around and make ourselves available for you as well. So we'll go ahead and get started then. So we are going to cover a few things today. We're going to talk about the Windows Ink Space. We're also going to do an overview of the Software Center, and this is where applications are pushed out. We'll talk a little bit about Global Protective Services, and then we'll review password changes. So first, I just want to do an overview of what Windows Ink Space is. And what it allows you to do, it's built into the operating system of Windows 10. So you have the option to create sticky notes. So if you're like me, I was a sticky note person and had them all over my laptop. This is kind of a digital tool that allows you to put sticky notes on your laptop desktop. You also have the option to use the Sketchpad and the Screen Sketch. So just an overview of what sticky notes are. Basically, it's just a quick way to create and to pin a sticky note onto your desktop. So if you're like me, I used to have them all over my laptop, and now I have them digitally stored. So the cool thing is I can always cut and paste and go back to them and refer to them in either presentations or just little self-reminders for myself. The next tool is the Sketchpad, and what Sketchpad is just a quick way to create little sketches. It's like your little whiteboard, and then the cool thing is that then you can save those as JPEGs. So I'll walk you through how that works. And lastly is Screen Sketch, and allows you to do some annotation. So if you're trying to direct your students at something specifically, you can do a screenshot of it and sketch directly onto that Screen Sketch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing here for just a second and show you how those tools work. So down here, hang on. You should be able to see my Screen Sketch tool here. It's down in the lower right corner. The Windows Ink Space looks like a little pen tool. Can you all, Rick, can you see that?
I can.
Okay, perfect. So the first thing I'm going to select here are the sticky notes. And you can see I already have a sticky note here which just has some notes that I'm not quite sure where I want to file these things yet. So I just start making notes. So when you open up the sticky note first, it will open up either a blank one for you, or you can simply just click on the plus sign here and create a new one. And I can start typing in here. I can also, if I want to make things stand out, like I want test, I can direct that just simply by clicking over it and selecting the bold feature. I can italicize it, I can underline it, I can scratch it off as soon as I get it done. I can also, in here, I can insert photos, and it could be things directly that are on my desktop, or if there's things that I've taken off of my camera roll, of my phone, I can insert those here. Again, it's just a quick little sticky note tool. Then what I can do is I can also change the colors of my sticky notes. So if you're OCD like me and you like to categorize things based on color, so for example, yellow are just general sticky notes, I can change the color here and make this green, and it could mean something totally different for me as well. I can also, once I have a sticky note and I no longer need it, I can click on the menu option here and simply just delete that. Now it's no longer part of my sticky notes. So that is sticky notes. I use these pretty wholeheartedly, and they basically stay on your desktop until you click on the close button here, and then they go away, or I can click back over on whatever it is I'm currently working in, and it will remove the sticky note from my screen. It will remain onto my desktop.
Can you go into your notes list, Diana? So
yes, thank you. Hang on there. So yeah, you know what? I don't have that option. Here it is. This toggle, you can make these sticky notes like little bullet points if you want to as well. And then I can also, from the menu option, select this notes list, and it puts it into a different format, creates different sticky notes for every time that I have multiple space returns inside of my sticky note. So again, to access that, I simply come down here under, there we go, under the Windows Workspace, this inking tool. Now, if you don't have that tool, and some people, sometimes it doesn't appear, if you come over here to Cortana and do a search for it, you've got the option here for Windows Works Inkspace that you can enable it there. Okay. Next tool in that Windows Inkspace is Sketchpad. And Sketchpad, again, is just like a whiteboard. It takes you back to the previous whiteboard that you had. So some of you, if you've never used it, may have an obscure drawing in there. You can create, or you can basically clear that off by hitting the little garbage can, and now it'll give you a white space. Up here at the top, you'll notice I have a couple of things. One is I can select what kind of pen type I want to utilize. So you've got a ballpoint pen and you can change the color on it if you want. You've got a pencil tool, you've got a highlighter tool, you have an eraser tool. You also have a ruler tool. But the key thing here is you want to make sure that, especially on a student device, if you're asking them to utilize it, to make sure that you click on this touch writing, because that's what allows them to touch the screen with their finger and annotate on it. But you as the teacher on your Lenovo's also have a pen tool that sits on the right-hand side that you can utilize it as well. So right now you can't see, but I'm writing on this whiteboard with my pen tool. The top 5+5 there, I use my finger for. After I write, if I decided something that I don't want, I just want to start over again, I simply just click on this clear all.
Is there a way for the students to also put their ideas on my whiteboard so they can all see?
I don't know. You can't, I don't think you can share the screen.
There is an application out there that they can do that. One of our curriculum coordinators found it the other day, and that's where the teacher can send out like a code and they can see all the students' whiteboards at the same time. The teacher can, but the students can't see each other.
Sean, I'm going to ask for your input. Isn't this something that Jamboard can do in Google?
Yeah, Google Jamboard, they could collaborate on a tool like this, which I think Steve has a video on the teacher resource page. And then I'll put the link to what Rick was talking about in the chat.
Okay,
Thank you.
That's
Perfect.
a really good video
Thanks.
that Steve did as well. I mean, that's very well laid out.
That's awesome. The other option, if you wanted your students, if they were doing stuff on this whiteboard and have them send it to you, is you have the option up here at the top to do on the little disk drive click on this save as, and what it does is it saves it as a PNG or a JPEG file, so they could save it to their desktops and mail it to you that way. I like this tool. I've used it with a couple of elementary teachers that are doing a demonstration and they have students that missed that day, but they still want them to have access, so they save it out and then send it to the student to review. Okay, you can also copy what's on your whiteboard here simply by clicking on the copy command. And then the last function that you can do is you can share it out. And this gives you the option here to basically send it as an email attachment. I will tell you, it's the Outlook that's integrated in the operating system. It's not when you open up Outlook, so it may look a little different to you, the mailing feature here, but it does work. Okay. The last tool I want to talk about in this Windows Inkspace here is the sketch screen. So I'm going to demonstrate here how this works. So I'm on the Integrate Ed web page, And when I click on this sketch screen, what it does is it takes a screenshot of what I'm currently logged in to. So if I'm a teacher and I'm trying to direct my students to something in particular on a website, it has annotation tools on it that I can draw on. So if I'm trying to get, hey, pay attention to this, I can do that screenshot and and do little drawings here of what I want them to pay attention to, or if I want to circle certain words here that they can look at. And again, I can change the color of my tools here, my pen tool. If I didn't want this lovely maroon color, I could change it to red. I can highlight things. Oops, got to select it in order to make that work. I can highlight things there. Again, you still have the ruler functionality as well. And once I'm done, I can save this out and I can also share it again as well. Again, it saves it as a PNG file, which is similar to JPEG. So it basically just takes a screenshot of what is on your screen.
So there's also, you have a finger function in there where you can use your finger as the drawing tool?
Yes, so you can either use the finger as the drawing tool, or you can use the pen tool. The thing that I like about this too is, you know, the Lenovo's function as both a tablet and as a laptop. So you can put this into either one of the modes and it will function the same way. Good question. Okay. Rick, I'm going to hand it off to you now. We're going to do a little bit of review about the Windows, the Software Center. So there you go.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. And let me get over to where I need to be. And today what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about our Windows Software Center. What is it? Why do we need it? How do you access it? And where is it? So when you make a request through our technology resource page, a lot of times it's for an application that you want to have installed. In the background, we have technicians that create what they call a package that they push out via a server called SCCM. So not to get technical, but they have to create a package that installs on your machine without you trying to enter a password. So Windows Software Center is where we deploy those applications to. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go down to my Software Center and I'm going to show you some of the applications. So in our little Cortana box, right down in the lower left, if you start to type in software, you'll see where it says Software Center. Hang on a minute. Okay, here it came up. Can you guys all see that box now? Okay, perfect. So if you have applications that are waiting to be installed, you should see them here. We're going to talk a little bit today about the Global Protect client, on how you can VPN into our intranet and some of our internal places that you need to go. If you typed in Software Center under applications and you see Global Protect, you should be able to install that. That is our client VPN that will allow you to gain access within FWCS. If you selected updates, you may see some updates listed. There's nothing under here. Occasionally, we will update our operating system. I think we're at like version 18 something, and they're just about ready to come out with another operating system update. So this is where you would find that. We're recommending that when you do that update, you're not doing it in a time frame where you have to go somewhere right away, because sometimes the operating system updates take a while. If I select my installation status, you'll see I've already had a couple that I've had installed. Some of it was software for 3D printing. Some of it was testing the shutdown function. But basically, it's just where you will find those applications that you need to install. So if you need that VPN client and you've made that request, the technician can push that out to you. You would just double click it. It would run through an install procedure. in order to do that.
And Rick, I'll add, sometimes we push out software that way and it runs behind the scenes that most people don't even know it's there. So there are instances where it does fail and you may be directed to try and reinstall it that way.
Correct. So what I'm going to talk about next then is the two ways that we can access our internet or internal sites. One is the Global Protect VPN, like I mentioned. The other has a web interface that you can connect to. The Global Protect would be in that client under the Software Center, and then the web VPN would be at the address listed before. And I will walk through that in just a second here. Let me hit escape to get out of here. So the Global Protect, I have it installed. So the first thing I want to do is I want to come over to the application and I want to type in, I'll start to type in global and you'll see my app is up here. If I right click on that app, I can pin that to my taskbar or unpin it in my taskbar listed below. I'm going to leave it pinned and then I'm going to select it. What that will do is you'll have to come down here to the lower right hand corner and then you'll say connect. You're going to enter your email address and then your password. It will go through the connect process and procedure, and then it should tell you that you're connected in just a moment. Okay, so there it says I'm connected, and in my sys tray right down here below, I see a little checkbox with it here. So how I know it's working right, I'm going to hide this toolbar here. Hang on a second. Okay, I'm going to come up here to one of our internal website pages, which is home.fwcs, k12.in.us. That's going to show me that I am now where I can access our internal sites. So if I come up here and I look at an example, we use Snap, and that's one of our internet sites that we use. I can select that. It'll go through a prompt. Should pop up here in a moment for us to look at. So now I know that I'm internally connected. There's a difference between the client and the web side of it. The client side will allow you to connect to your network drives where you can find your files that are still on your N drive. Now, we're constantly putting a plug on trying to move your files over to the Google side of things. Google does a great job of embedding our files that we want within our LMS and some of our other applications that we use. But in order to get to your N drive, you'll have to be VPN'd in. So we're encouraging people to start to take the time to move some of those files over. So I'm connected now to the VPN with our Global Protect, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to show you a down here in our Windows Explorer in the sys tray. If you don't have that little folder over here, you can type in Explorer and you'll see the File Explorer window here. If you select that, okay, here it's showing what's available on my left-hand side. And you're used to just scrolling down and you can see your network drives that are connected here. My case, it's not showing my network drive, but I'm going to show you how you can get to that. If you use the Global Protect client and you need to access other files that are on other shared drives, that would be how you would access it. You would join with your Global Protect, and then this would give you access to these shared locations here within FWCS. What you're going to see across this top bar here is this is what they call a pathway on where things are located. And in order to get to our network drive, there is a syntax string that we can use to get to that. Let me come over here to my desktop. I'm going to copy this string, and then I'll show you an easier way to get to it. Once I go back to it.
And just so you know, that syntax string that he has is available in the slide deck that we have, and we'll put that, upload that today onto the teacher resource page.
So what the syntax is telling me across the top is that I'm going to access the Staff OO server with our domain name. I'm going to have my user. I'm going to have, this is the user volume. H is the letter of my last name for where my files are located, and then my address. So when I hit enter, after I'm connected to our Global Protect client, I get to my N drive even though it's not listed here. Okay, so I know it seems like, oh, that's a lot of characters. I don't know if I'll be able to get to that. So if I back up, and if all you can remember is staffoo.fwcs.k12.in.us, that takes you to this folder. You select that. That takes you to my H folder. I select that. And then I'm right here at my file folder. And now I'm at my files, and that's my pathway. So if you know the initial server and then the domain address, that will allow you to get to your network drives there. Okay. Now, what we've experienced and ran into is, in some cases, once you get to your network drive, you may have a bunch of X's that are showing up within here, and you're thinking, well, how come I can't access my files? Well, somehow something happened along the lines, and some people got flipped over to what they call offline files. That has to be turned off in order for that to happen. How we check that and get to that, I can come down here to my little Cortana, and I can type in control panel, and that will open up. You can change your views from category to icon, small or large. And if you do that, here's a icon called Sync Center. When we select our Sync Center, it opens up another window that allows us to look at our offline files. When we select our offline files, we can see right here where it says enable, or, and I don't want to enable, oops, I lost that. I don't want to enable my offline files here. I want to make sure that they're enabled. And then that way, it'll tell you, once you apply, it'll tell you to reboot. Let me get back to that window here, okay? When you select the change and say okay, it'll say you must restart your machine. And then at that point, if you restart your machine, you should be able to go back into that process and get in without any problems at that point. So I don't know if there are any questions so far on that. It's just a few extra steps and a few extra hoops to jump to some of the things that you need to get to. Let me get back to here. Okay. The next thing I wanted to show you is we have our website of it that we can gain access to. So if I go to my website, and it's listed on our slide deck as well, this is where we just enter our user ID and password, our email address and password here. Now, the web VPN site is not near as robust. It gives you access to a lot of our applications on the website of it, but it doesn't give you necessarily access to file shares that you're looking for. When you open it and you sign in, you're going to see we have a list of shortcuts that are already available for you. And then if you know what an application URL that you want to enter, you could select this drop down if you want. And on my last example, I showed you how you could get to the FWCS homepage. So if I type in home.fwcs.k12.in.us, you're going to see that I'm able to get to that page as well, just like I did on the client side of it. Here's then you can select your tab that you want to get to. There's my snap. There's my application to get to it. So I'm internally in on our intranet as well, just like I was in the client before. If we come back, let me close this out. If we come back to our Global Protect page and our web Global Protect page, and we're finished with it, we can select our drop down and just say log out, and that will take you out of your VPN, or if you close the window, it will do that as well for you. So that's the VPN side. On the global side and the client side of it. Client, remember, gives you access to drives. The web gives you basically access to internet web pages that you may need to access in the web environment side. Now, the last thing I want to cover is I want to go through our window password changes here. So we get requests that, hey, I'm working from home, my password popped up, I needed to change it. I didn't manage to get to change it. What do I do now? I'm stuck, I'm locked out of my machine. Well, best practice should be, especially if you're at school, you should always try to get everything changed and synced at the same time so you don't run into some of the headaches that I'm going to talk a little bit about here. If you get prompted at school, just go ahead, follow the instructions, change it, do whatever you need to do there. If you are at home and you get stuck and it prompts you to change it and you do what I did, because I failed to change my password and all of a sudden it locked me out of it, I had to use a website to change my password. I'm gonna show you what that website looks like in just a second here. Get out of that, okay. So let me hide the toolbar here so I can see what's going on here. All right. When you select that password change, that website for that, it's going to ask you for your user ID. It's going to ask you for your old password. And then there's going to be some parameters that you need to make sure of for your new password. You'll enter them. As long as it's compliant, you'll be good to go and you'll be able to get on your way. This portion here will change your password for like Clever, Google. It'll change your password for your LMS, but it won't change your password for your machine that you're logged in on. That's what they call our local Windows workstation, which has a password on that. So what I'm saying is if I change all my passwords now and I'm able to get into my machine and I close it, when you think that okay, my passwords are changed, when you go to log in your machine the next day, you're not going to be able to log in. You're going to have to remember your old password to your machine. Okay, so you have your old password and now you have your new password. Two different things there. Now, another caveat that gets thrown into it is when you VPN in. When you VPN in, you're going to get a pop-up eventually that will say, hey, we noticed your password's changed, but your Windows password hasn't been changed. So how you change that is if you select your Control-Alt-Delete, there is a password change tab on there that you can select that. And at that point, just put in the password that you just recently changed it to, and you should be okay at that point. Questions or anything along that line? Get back to here, okay? So that pretty much covers everything that I wanted to talk about as well, Diana. So if we can move on to the next slide if you want here. Talk
Okay.
about a little bit about that.
So basically those are the tools and kind of some of the tips that we are talking about with Windows. The next thing we just want to highlight are some of the upcoming PLs that we have for you that will be available. The first is on Thursday, we're going to be offering a Google certification class. And this is really a tutorial overview of how the world of Google works. We're not saying that you have to take the test, but it is being offered once a week for the next 8 weeks, starting on Thursday. You do have to sign up to attend that. This is good for teachers, administrators, staff, whoever you think would want an opportunity to do that. Rick, can you advance to the next slide because you have control?
Yeah.
Then next Tuesday, we'll be offering another 30-minute PL on how worksheets work, including some integration with HyperDocs and how we can create some interactivity between Google Slides. So that is being offered by Matt and Shannon. Again, that's next Tuesday at 9 a.m. Go ahead, Rick.
Okay.
The following week, we will be offering what we're calling a social hour, where we will do a deep dive into the world of social media. So that's going to include Twitter, TikTok, you get the idea here, Facebook and so forth. So again, that's going to be offered on Tuesday the 23rd at 9 a.m. And then lastly, in the month of July, there will be a transition happening over to the new grade book. And so there will be sessions being offered for teachers on Tuesday the 21st. We don't have those times established just yet. We're just planting seeds to have you put those onto your calendar. So again, it's called Power Teacher Pro, and it's a great book. And I think instructional coaches, you can be there as well.
And this is the only teacher training that is going to be available for that day in the morning, AM and PM. Now, if you are a building tech coordinator, we are going to work with our Power Teacher Pro trainers to give the building level people an opportunity to learn a little bit more about that. The focus for the teacher PL will just be mostly on the grade book. Even though it will integrate with the LMS, we're going to have to create a couple extra tutorials on the side because there's going to be some things that we'll need to do in order to make it work correctly if you save your class at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. But then we'll have there's one makeup day for the building tech coordinators, but I don't have that date exactly right in front of me. But knowing that the Power Teacher Pro gradebook is coming this year, we are working with another company called CBC that will create a video like we had done on our LMS in the past. So there will be some options available to access some video training as a walkthrough as well.
Mary, we don't have a time as of yet. As soon as we do, we will post that for you. We'll probably put it on the teacher resource page, and we'll put it out on social media as well.
So I think that's all we had. We want to thank you folks for what you've done this year for everyone. I hope now you can get out, get a little sun, get a little relaxation. Not sure what the next year will bring for us, but we're diligently working in the back end to try to make things available for you as time goes on.
Yep. So Rick and I will stick around if anybody has any questions. If not, have a great day. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.